It's Christmas time at the schoolhouse, and even though all the land around us is quiet and the fields are resting, our old schoolhouse feels very awake out here in this little corner of Indiana countryside. This is only our second Christmas since moving into the schoolhouse after all the years of renovation, but even with just one Christmas under our belts, it already feels like such a special time for this old building. Last year we had just moved in and things were pretty bare bones on the decorating front. We were unpacking decorations from grandma's, pulling out things that I've made over the years, and just trying to make it all feel a little like magic, despite the continued construction, the leaky, drafty windows, and the long to-do list. But this year, things feel a lot more settled and very excited to dig into some of the bigger projects to make things more charming. We've been slowly working for months on some really special handmade pieces and getting ready to take things to the next level and turn the schoolhouse into our own kind of Christmas wonderland. And that's what you're going to find in this video. Some handmade Christmas decoration and some really special holiday and non-holiday updates on some of the schoolhouse decor. So this year is extra special and we're decorating a little early because there's some really big changes coming to the schoolhouse. In a few weeks, there will be a new baby joining us. So I've been pretty quiet about being pregnant for a lot of reasons, and then you throw in the internet. Honestly, with each baby that I've had, I kind of kept it really close to the chest and didn't really tell anybody or coworkers or anyone that I was pregnant until the baby actually arrived. So it's kind of what I do. But anyway, it's a bit harder to hide in this video. We are excited, we are nervous, we are all the feelings, and just hopeful for what's to come in this very special season. So yeah, we're decorating a little early so that we can actually get it done before the chaos descends. So the theme for my holiday decorations through apartments, rentals, New York, now to the schoolhouse has always been the same. Handmade, old, colorful, playful. It turns out that's pretty perfect for an old school. I love using scraps and old bits of fabric to make things, whether from pennant banners or ornaments or garlands. And this year we're going to be making a few different things with the kids. On the inside, we're going to be making Strinsel, aka string tinsel, out of some old fabric that used to be our curtains in New York apartments. And we're also recreating a few decorations for the front of the school outside, an idea inspired by something the previous owner used to do when they went all out for the schoolhouse for the holidays. And be sure to stick around to the end because there's some non-holiday weird and wonderful things that have been happening at the schoolhouse over the last year, and I've been trying to figure out the best way to share it. But first, the tree. Last year we went to a local Christmas tree farm and picked out the sweetest little tree. It was so charming. And with 13-foot ceilings, it did end up looking a little bit like a shrimp, which many people were quick to point out. And while I do think we'll always have a real tree when the kids are little, I am one of those people who wants to start decorating a bit earlier than the Christmas tree farms open up. This year in particular, due to pending arrivals. Okay, Arla Margot, should we open the Christmas tree? So I wanted to find a tree that could last, something beautiful that we could use year after year for the next decades here at the schoolhouse. And after a little deep dive on Reddit and some late night research, I found that the king of Christmas trees came up again and again and again. And they were kind enough to send over one of their big trees and some wreaths to help us deck out the schoolhouse for years to come. And I'm really excited to be working with them for this video. All right, we gotta get out the pieces. Hey! High five! Yeah. Margot.
Wow, that's... Oh, it's got plugs in it. Huh.
What?
There are plugs in the...
Oh, wow.
We can do it in a second. We're only assemble the tree first.
Because Margot pressed it.
Ooh, wow, that's very playful.
No, the tree doesn't talk.
Can I see Christmas tree, Mama?
You do? You have to turn it into a what?
Look at how this section is bigger than your clam.
Wow!
Is that rainbow? You want it bright or dull? Bright? That's pretty
pretty cool that you can adjust all that. For one thing on our tree, I wanted to continue making handmade, homemade decorations to have the school have that homemade touch around the holidays. And no ornaments will be more precious than the ones made by gremlin hands. This year, after getting a new tree, after many years of having teeny tiny peanut trees, we needed some garland. So I'm going to make some string tinsel garland out of old scraps, AKA our old curtains from our apartments in New York. But the sun like kind of hurt them a little bit. So we're gonna turn it into tinsel. What do you think? String tinsel for the Christmas tree. So step one is to cut a ton of strips of fabric. I found it easiest to snip little sections and then call in some backup to help rip them apart. Oh, this is such a good toddler job. When your backup abandons you, finish the job yourself. Okay, we have a green string pile, a purple string pile, and a white string pile. Right, Margot? You wrapped your baby in some? Oh my gosh. Then take handfuls of your fabric strips and cut them into many pieces of tiny strips. After that, I got a mix of old yarn and strung them together to prep sewing all of these strings to the string tinsel. Then it was time to get out the sewing machine. I took longer strips of fabric and stitched all the tiny strips of fabric to the big string. And it was about that time I was answering many toddler questions on how sewing machines work. And then it was time to go over the string tinsel one more time, stitching the actual yarn to the garland. After that, I snipped all the little loops from the yarn and then shook out all the little straggler bits of thread. And here's the end result of the recycled string tinsel. And before I put the string tinsel on the tree, I got the kids to help me make one more type of garland out of wool pom-poms and wooden beads. With their help, this part of the project took about 17 times longer than normal, but hey, it was pretty cute. Okay guys, we gotta get some trains, okay? We gotta get some trains to go around the trees. Here, maybe we'll just bring this whole bucket up.
Straight pieces.
I'm following it. Maybe they will all go in it.
And last but not least, the final touches on the tree, all of the ornaments. There are tons of ornaments from grandmas and great-grandmas on here, but a couple years ago, my mom made a little set of handmade ornaments featuring all of the animals that have lived in the schoolhouse during its time as a barn and also just a varmint hotel. So we've got cows and sheep and pigs, chickens, turkeys, of course, and bats. And don't forget little Pimp Up, too. All in all, since we've had this tree up, it's been quite the showstopper every time I walk into the room. It is 12 feet tall, after all. And I'm really excited for years to come to make more recycled garlands and ornaments with the kids and more complex train operations. And for all you real tree aficionados out there, we did cut a branch off of one of our gigantic white pine trees, and I've put it in an old milk container that Sean's grandparents used on their old dairy farm. But we're not done decorating just yet. It's time to move outside. This year, we added 2 big pieces of decor outside, some really beautiful realistic wreaths from the folks at King of Christmas that I'll talk more about in a second, and then one piece of decor that we've been dreaming about ever since we bought the schoolhouse. Homemade reindeer. When we first toured the building, we spotted an old set of vintage reindeer tucked away in the basement, left over from when the school used to go all out for the holidays. The previous owner ended up taking this set. These reindeer felt like such a magical part of the building's history, and we knew we wanted to bring them back. And luckily there was one broken reindeer left over that we could use as a template.
Which reindeer is that?
It's scary in here.
Rudolph.
You're right, Margot.
Is this Rudolph?
Yeah,
How do you know it's Rudolph?
because it looks like it.
Oh, he's got a bell.
So this year we're recreating them, cutting, painting, and giving them new life. And this time we're going to add a Rudolph to lead the way. The first step was to get some outdoor rated plywood to cut the deer out of, and then it was time to break out the scroll saw and a reindeer template. We gotta sand these and then we gotta paint these, right? Yep. We're gonna paint all these guys, okay?
Can you put red on this?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna get the brown started for one of you, and then we're gonna do the red, okay?
I'm gonna put this bead first.
You're painting that bead?
Yeah.
These reindeer were a bit of work, but I'm so happy with how they turned out. They're so cute and playful and a little nod to the schoolhouse history. But we didn't stop there. It was time to add the final touch of the outdoor decor, some wreaths. Now, our upper windows are very tall, and I wanted to figure out the easiest, most efficient way to decorate them every year. And I am so impressed by these wreaths from King of Christmas. There is quite the difference between these and the wreath that we got at the hardware store last year. The needles look a lot more realistic, and I really think that they'll last a long, long time. I stressed a bit about the hanging process because I really didn't want to do anything to hurt the exterior window frames after all that we've been through with these danged windows. And it turns out hanging the wreaths was super simple with a little bit of durable ribbon. What I did was I made a loop around the wreath, stitched it in place, and then stitched a little pocket of sorts to slip a small piece of wooden shim, which I hot glued in place. Then we just lowered the window a bit, popped the wreath out with the wooden piece still inside, and closed up the window. It was super simple. I'm curious if we'll ever need to add like fishing line or anything to keep the wreaths from flopping around, but so far, so good. For all the King of Christmas wreaths and the tree and everything that I've talked about in this video so far, I've linked it all below in my description, but it has definitely helped level up the Christmas decor at the schoolhouse for many, many, many years to come. Okay, so before I give a little holiday tour and show some of the more recent updates, both holiday and non-holiday decor, there's something that I've been wanting to talk about, something that's been happening at the schoolhouse over the last year or so, and it's super surprising and honestly something I never expected when we took on this crazy journey. Every so often I'll get an email or a package will show up or we'll get a delivery from a neighbor, and they are the most unexpected treasures. I'm still so shocked every time this happens. Sometimes it's old maps, vintage lights, school clocks, desks, collections from a retired teacher, a chalkboard from Sean's high school guidance counselor, pieces that once lived in classrooms just like ours.
Each one feels like a little reminder that even in this very online, sometimes closed off feeling world, there's still people out there who take the time to share something with a stranger. Things that say, hey, I thought of the schoolhouse and this weird project you've taken on. Would you want this thing? To folks like Jerry and Amanda and Loretta and Teresa and Nancy and Sue, Dave, Mary Ellen, Carolyn, German, thank you from the bottom of my schoolhouse renovating heart. We're slowly figuring out the perfect precious spots to display things. Like, this package came randomly one day, and there was no return address, no note to send a thank you note back to, and inside was this clock. So I did end up rewiring and getting it working again, so if you sent this, thank you so much. Success. This vintage hand-drawn textbook from German Longoria, I can't figure out the perfect way to display it. You gotta see some of these illustrations and just the detail is absurd. Like, how am I supposed to display just one page? It's hard to even touch this. Thank you so much, German. The biggest, strangest, and most lovely story of all has to be about how I met Lenart, the person I bought our dining chairs from on Etsy back in early 2024. I had really wanted to find chairs for the schoolhouse that came from another school, something that felt connected with a little history to it. And I'd been searching for months on auctions, Facebook Marketplace, everywhere. But everything was either mismatched or too modern or made of plastic. And then I found Lenart's shop. He had these beautiful, simple, pressed wood chairs with these clean lines and quiet character, and he had 15 of them. I knew he'd want to host big dinner parties someday, so this became one of the very first and one of the only big furniture purchases that we made for the schoolhouse. When the chairs arrived, they were amazing. And after a bit more research, I learned they were actually designed by a famous Slovenian designer who has pieces in the MoMA. And I love when good design shows up in ordinary, everyday places like a school. It's a reminder that beauty doesn't have to be reserved for fancy places. You can have great design intended for a bunch of kid butts. But what came from this purchase turned out to be so much more than furniture. Lenart and I started messaging back and forth, and over time it grew into this really special friendship, one that I never could have expected. At first, I assumed I was chatting with a kind, middle-aged antiques dealer living in Central Europe, but the truth was far from that. Lenart is now 18, and he's been in the antiques business for most of his life. He is a very different and special kind of kid. He first got into the antiques business when he was about 12. His dad wasn't totally on board at first until Lenart kept showing up with lamps and chairs that he'd fetch on his hoverboard. When he started trading his Lego sets for old lights and lamps, his dad saw how happy it made him and eventually joined in to help. Now, Lenart, his dad, and his grandpa will pack orders together, and Lenart has a really amazing shop. His dad's apparently a master at building shipping boxes from scrap cardboard, and these days they travel all over Slovenia and even Italy, filling their van with antiques. Lenart's turned it into a business, refinishing and selling pieces online, and his little workshop looks straight out of a storybook.
Hey, my name is Lenart, and this is my vintage store in Slovenia.
Recently, Lenart found and sent me some old photos of our chairs, back when he first got them before his dad spent a winter sanding and refinishing each one. And it turns out these chairs actually came from Lenart's old elementary school in Novo Mesto. Knowing that they were once used by kids halfway across the world in a classroom just like this one, it makes it even more special to me, like a little thread connecting our school to another.
Open this
Last winter, Lenart also reached out to me asking if I was interested in some of the wall hangings that he had sitting around his shop, and he sent some of the most treasured pieces of wall art that arrived right before Christmas last year, and it felt like such an epic Christmas gift from one antiques nerd to another. And then this summer again, he was cleaning out his shop and he sent a few more pieces, this time with a dose of Slovenian snacks, which went over very well with the kids.
We have to try it for dinner time.
Okay.
I'll eat it for dinner.
You'll eat that for dinner?
I like that, Mama.
A skeleton. You love. Whoa.
That's for me.
That's for you? Wow. What is on here? A map. What's on here? Fishies.
So of course, we gathered some snacks of our own to send back, including some of America's finest culinary traditions, according to 3- and 4-year-olds.
Are you packing Lenart some gushers? Yeah. I don't know if he's gonna like that, but we'll see.
And I'm just so thankful for businesses like Etsy and for things like this that allow two folks to connect across age, across continents, over a shared interest. If you want to check out a very special Etsy seller and support a very kind and entrepreneurial young antique lover whose impeccable customer service sometimes turns into friendships, go give Lenart a follow on his Instagram and check out his shop full of Central European treasures. I've linked them below in my description. And now that it's Christmas time again, I thought this was just the perfect video to show off these true gifts throughout the school from folks all around the world, in addition to the holiday decor that we've been working on. With all these little changes and all the big impending changes to come, here's what the schoolhouse is looking like for the holidays this year, where there always seems to be a car or a dinosaur in the nativity. And that's a wrap on this year's holiday tour. Another year of chaos and sawdust and the sweetest blink and you miss it moments. Somehow the next chapter is looking even wilder. Between a new gremlin and some big projects coming up, things might slow down a little bit on the video side while I figure out how to balance it all. The last couple months, we've been working on some built-in cabinets and shelves, all from salvaged materials for the kitchen, and it's really coming together, and I can't wait to get that one buttoned up. But truly, thank you for being here, for watching, and for caring about this old school nestled in the cornfields. Wishing you the coziest, warmest holiday season from our family to yours.